Good day to you people of the interwebs, and welcome to this week's edition of Transformer of the Week. Well, I'm going to be looking at this guy. This is TFC's Deathclaw. He's the 5th figure in the Poseidon range, so that means we can now make the full Poseidon figure. Go back a couple of videos actually showing putting that together for the first time. But he's a lobster. He's a freaking lobster, and he's huge. I can imagine there's probably lobsters that are about this size in the ocean. There's probably, you know, moving around. It's a peculiar thing, Transformers. I did mention this, I think, when I talked about tarantulas many years ago, that we got in Transformers a Transformer that turned into a lobster before we got one that turned into a spider. Madness, really is madness, and this guy is... I'm so happy to own this. I did have the figure G1 when I was a kid. A wee nipper. Bad joke. Yeah, but he was stolen, and there was big falling out with me and some of the other kids that I lived on the street with, because, you know, one of them took it, we don't know who he was, and there was fisticuffs and everything. So it's nice to actually own a version of this character. I have since got the full G1 reissue set, but it's nice to have a modern take on Nautilator, who's now got his third-party name of Deathclaw. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm not sure if this is the arrangement, this weird arrangement in the mouth. I'm not sure if that's how lobsters have mouths. I don't think I've ever actually took the time to study that, but he's got like a moving up mouth here, and the jaw can move, and he's got these weird bits at the side as well. So I don't know if that's accurate or what, or it's just that's just the monster aspect, because sure as hell sharks don't have arms and legs. Then he's got his claws, some nice ratchets there, so there's a swivel there, there's an in and out ratchet here, there's a joint there, there's a double, so he's got a double elbow and elbow swivel. These pincers can move out, they can move out like so. There's a lot of range there. There's a ball joint on that on the thumb pincer. So yeah, he's got that as well. Can also, so there's lots of articulation here. Legs. We've got ball joints here. This bit likes to unpeg itself. Oh, get back in. But anyway, it won't get back in because we're on video. It likes to unpeg itself. There's a ball joint and a swivel and a tiny swivel on the little tips. These gorgeous, absolutely lots of just messing around. Reminds me a lot of Beast Wars, which is never a bad thing. There's not much in the lobster tail, which is a shame, because I do like the articulation that there is in the armoured cranials of the lobster. You know, it is very much reminds me of how armour is made. And then his absolutely gorgeous translucent lobster tail fin that has these bits that can either slide all the way in, slide out, but you know, it's just to have them about there so it doesn't break up the skill. That again doesn't flap, but looks beautiful. All in all, I just there's something magnificent about it and creepy, and yeah, also his feelers, antennae, moustache, whatever you want to call it, that also is on a ball joint, so that can move around as well. Yeah. Oof. Beautiful. He's got some accessories, and they do, some of them can, well, this can. That's his gun. cast in a very dull grey plastic that can take it into his back now, so it can be a firing thing. And it does do that thing where you can get a larger barrel. The barrel's in a different shade of plastic. It's not quite as dull, I don't think, but still. It's grey on grey. Huzzah! Yeah. I do like that they've attempted to put a bit more colour in or paint in than some of the others, even though it is primarily the same colour of plastic with bits of different grey plastic in. So yeah, they've made a bit of an effort, but like some of the others where they have multiple different colours of plastic, I think strike the eye more. But he's a transformer! So he does transform. It's a lot of panels moving around, but in the end it's fun and rewarding. So we're going to start, I think we'll start with the tail. Now the tail forms the legs. So what we want to do is we want to unpeg these bits here, and it's very similar to all the others in the fact that there's a bit, panels just kind of shift around and move, and there's a very sort of like reveal of the legs. So these kind of all separate out, so we can see where we're going. And now we flip these bits out like so, and then we can just move that entire segment down, and again on the other side we'll peg these bits, move that out like so, so everything's out of the way. So then this comes, and everything's in the right place. It's a case of just kind of starting to fold things up. So you've got to, like these bits here, these fold back in, that bit there folds in. It's a case of that all folds down, and that bit folds up and folds into place there. Neatly does it. Now this, there's a ball joint here, so that ball joint kind of sweeps all the way around, and this toe joint again on a ball joint, shift it round like so. That plugs in there. Again on the other side, this is already folded up of its own accord. That folds in, this folds down and round, clicks into place, that clicks into place there, that folds in there. Genius. Absolutely genius. So if we get the toe joint, move it round on its ball joint, move the foot down, the foot into place, move this section down like so, and we got legs, and we know how to use them. Next section, upper body. It's easiest if you move these out of the way, like so. You can then access the ball joints in the shoulder armour, move them round. The shoulder armours moves around, then plug them back into place, like so. Click, 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 back in place. The jaw, we swivel round and down, but before we do that, kind of move everything up. Head comes out. Jaw clicks into place there. Head, oh, just rip it off. Just rip it off. No. The head is a pain in the ass once it comes off because it's right. Swivel that out on his back. Now it's just a case of tying him up. So he does have a big ass. Lobster hands at the moment, you can keep him like that, you can use that, you can go tearing through ships, or we can get a joint in here, so we peg joint there, and that kind of like so, so everything sits backwards. Again, you get this, and we separate this from here, like so. Move his arm back, move that back, move the joints, back into place. Now with these legs you can do pretty much whatever you want with them, so you just tie him up. Like so. So again, he's made a badass Voyager-ish size robot warrior. He's got some chunky legs. I love how chunky his legs are. It's like bell bottoms or so. But they've got nice ratcheting doubled knees. You know, it's sometimes hard to actually choose which joint you're using because some of them are stiffer than others. But yeah, so he's got a big, huge range there. I mean, because they're folded up on themselves in vehicle mode. So yeah, vehicle mode. Lobster mode! They're folded up on themselves. So it's, you know, it's quite thin. So absolutely full on, beyond the full Van Damme there. And just listen to that. He's got a nice waist joint as well. Sorry, toe joint, foot joint on the ball joint. So there's lots of movement there. Again, all that great articulation you had in Lobster mode on his arms is here, with an added wrist swivel. It's got shoulder, you know, ball jointed shoulder armour, and a really good ball joint on his head, but also with a swivel back and forth. Now then, head light piping works really well. However, I don't know if it's just because of the plastic that they used, or it's quite pinheaded. He's quite pinheaded compared to his body. The others have been a little bit pinheaded, but it's more noticeable. I think because he's got quite a thinner face with his visor than the others, so with his faceplate it's quite thin. And I just would have loved him to use more than one colour of plastic on that, or at least not just relying on the light piping, but to also have maybe at least done a different tone of grey on his faceplate, or a different colour entirely, just to make it pop. At the moment it's really good sculpt. It's quite dull, but it's lovely translucent plastic chest detail. Going onto the arms, like I said, brilliant articulation. This paint, this yellow paint is horrible. It's already, you can see where it's coming off, because I mean, there's a gimmick where you remove this and you can plug it into here. There's a shield, and I don't know if you can make that out, but you can see where that happens. I've only done it about once, and already that paint is rubbing off. So that's, it's one of those annoying things that I've just, as much as I like this line, I've been complaining about the lack of paint that's on these figures. And then when they do add an actually better paint on the figure, the paint's a bit dog shit. But other than that, this paint, however, is beautiful. Oh no. I can see now that's starting to rub off as well. But I like these legs. I do like these legs. Weapons. He can, of course, hold his gun, and he does have, like the other guys, have various bits of weapons that form the main weapon of Poseidon. So he does have these lovely little hand axe things, so they can go in a couple of different configurations. You can even have them like that, or more punchy over the knuckle axe, so whichever choppy you want. And he does have these amazingly beautiful silver swords. That are a bit tighter. The handles, look at this. See, we're struggling here, aren't we? Handles are a bit tighter than the others. They're a bit harder to put on, but when they're on, they are when they're in, and they're quite rewarding. Yeah, it's nice. They've got that joint. There's a joint here that's used for transformation and used for putting into different molds. But it's quite. You can actually get that to cheat, a few butterfly joint poses if you want. All in all, excellent figure. I just love how out there the lobster mode is. I love just the posability and what we've given, and options that this guy has in robot mode. These big chunky legs, love them. All in all, an excellent figure. Excellent. This line so far, we've got one to go, and they've all been, really standout figures in their own right. And I had been saying, there's no way I'm going to keep this guy in combined mode because all the figures are just brilliant. But then when I put it in combined mode, it's just been stood there in combined mode, and it looks good enough to read. But it looks beautiful. And do I really want to shell out for another one? That's Mike Cass's joke, by the way. If you want to, Mike Cass. If you want to blame anyone for that joke, Mike Cass. That's why it's this week's Transformer Week, because it's beautiful. A beautiful lobster transformer. And he's not the only lobster transformer there's ever been. There's one in Beast Wars as well. At least one in Beast Wars. Join me next week when there'll be more Transformers, more weeks, and till then, be excellent to each other. Party on dudes. Party on dudes. That's the plural for dudes and lady dudes. Dudes. Party on dudes. Party on dudes. Or dudes who are also nerds. See you later, dudes. Until then, Fisto!